Welcome to the Living the Dream podcast with Curveball. If you believe, you can achieve. Welcome to the Living the Dream with Curveball podcast, a show where I interview guests that teach, motivate, and inspire. Today, I am joined by national recording artist and theater headliner, Michael Cagle. Michael's career has been praised by people like Ed McMahon, Reba McEntire, and Patti LaBelle. We're going to be talking to him about his amazing career, what he's up to and going to be up to. So, Michael, thank you for joining me.
Well, thank you, and good morning to everybody, or good afternoon. Nice to be here.
Why don't you start off by telling everybody a little bit about yourself?
Well, I am a singer, recording artist. I live in the Seattle area. I have been blessed to have literally performed pretty much my entire life, and normally I have basically just been basically a stage performer or a headliner in showrooms, that kind of thing. About 2 years ago, I decided to dust off some of the music that I had started writing and my arrangements, and dove into the scary life of a recording artist and got in the studio. And I have so much music ready to release to people. I am really excited about the direction of the way things are going. And aside from 2 albums I'm going to be releasing in 2026, I also had the opportunity to write and record 3 songs for a motion picture that's coming out. And so I will be on a movie soundtrack as well. So it's just like everything kind of fell into place once I decided to move forward and stop the fear, I guess, of doubt, or I don't know. Basically I was holding myself back and decided to just go for it, and now I'm seeing kind of the rewards of it. So I'm kind of excited about that.
So what made you decide to get into writing and performing music in the first place?
Well, I'm from the New York area as a child, and both my parents were musicians and singers on the East Coast, and they did pretty well as far as being regional celebrities and regional artists performing on the weekends and appearing on talk shows and that kind of thing. So music's always been in my blood. It's always been something that has been a consistent in my life. I thought I would go the direction of acting, and so I pursued that for a while, got 2 degrees in music theater, and did some, musicals and that kind of thing. But I really love the one-on-one of doing my own kind of show and interacting and bonding with the audience. So in between doing, I guess you would call, uh, uh, second level theater projects, summer stock, that kind of thing. In between doing those, I did my one man show and worked incredibly hard at staying busy that way, touring, doing the fair circuit, which is how I met a lot of the celebrities that I ended up opening for and appearing with. So I guess it's just been in my blood my entire life. So yeah, I guess uh, I guess it was just destined, I hope.
Well, I know that your career has been praised by people like Patti LaBelle, Reba McEntire, Ed McMahon. So talk about which one of those praises meant the most to you.
You know, I know this sounds corny, but I mean it legitimately. Any compliment that I get, because this is such a tough business, any compliment that I get from anybody means the absolute world to me. Just because the industry is so full of amazing, talented people. Um, Reba McEntire was one of the very first major artists that I was able to open for, and uh, she really took a chance with me doing that. And to this day, it was one of the biggest crowds that I've ever sung for because it was way over 18,000 people. And for someone that had been doing, shows for people in the, hundreds at the most, to step out on the stage and see 18,000 people and hearing them getting excited and responding to what I was doing is amazing. Patti LaBelle, is to me the greatest artist that female artist that has ever sung. And I mean, I love, I'm a big fan of Whitney Houston, and yeah, and I love Jennifer Hudson, but Patty, there's just something about the way she just commands the stage and everything. To get a compliment from someone like her that I have literally idolized since I was 15, it was incredible. And getting a chance to meet, Ed McMahon, as you were mentioning, the three, Ed McMahon, I was on his talent show called Ed McMahon's Next Big Star. I made the semifinals nationally, and he was a super nice guy. And he said I reminded him a lot of the first person that ever won Star Search, Sam Harris. And he just was really complimentary about my delivery and my approach, and was just genuinely uh, seemed really excited to help artists step into their own. And so, like I said, all three of the names that you mentioned, all of them mean something for different reasons. But still to this day, since a lot of what I'm doing is brand new to me now, I'm just totally humbled at the responses that I get every time someone says they like what I do, or what I wrote, or how I sing. It really does mean a lot.
Where you've been called Patti LaBelle meets Nathan Lane. So how do you interpret that label, and how does that reflect your style both vocally and theatrically?
I am a I'm a really highly emotional singer. I don't like to do anything that doesn't really affect me or mean something to me. Like I could never just be like background music somewhere, because that's just not in my DNA. I really feel like I'm someone that can't really perform or sing unless that that music or those lyrics, even when I was doing covers, the music or the lyrics had to really affect me. I had to feel like I had something to say or something to do with them. And I think that's probably why my range is pretty. I have a pretty good range. I sing about 4.5 octaves, so I can run the scale really well. And I got I was hosting an event in Las Vegas, and it was covered by Fox Television, who at the time was also I was hosting a show called Sensations for them. So they came out and filmed a show. And when they saw me hosting as well as singing, they said, with your vocals and your sense of humor and your timing, they said basically, this is what would happen if Patti LaBelle and Nathan Lane had a love child, because of how well you just fuse humor and good timing with these vocals that they had said were incredible. And so it it meant a lot. It really did. To it's one thing to get a compliment from someone you've idolized, but when someone turns around and says they compare you to them, it just is one of those things that will forever be burned into my memory and into my heart, and something nobody will ever be able to take away. So I'm thrilled by that.
let's take a quick break.
Okay, everybody, it's Michael E. Cullen II.
And I'm Sesame and Carta from the All Too Real 2 podcast. We're passionate about movies, TV, and pretty much all things pop culture.
Dive into the chaos of failed sitcoms, direct-to-video sequels, and the quirky realms of cinema and TV.
Join us every Thursday for your dose of All Too Real 2 entertainment.
We'll guide you through debates like whether Howard the Duck qualifies as a superhero.
Ponder if Larry the Cable Guy could be the new Rock or Schwarzenegger.
Discover if some shows and movies should have stayed in the cutting room.
Ever heard of a sitcom featuring that dictator with the funny mustache? Well, we watched it.
We're dedicated to unraveling the peculiarities of pop culture, sometimes with awesome guests.
So, if you're into the eccentric world of pop culture,
listen and subscribe to All Too Real 2.
Available wherever you find podcasts
and on Age of Radio.
Well, speaking of Las Vegas, you made that your home for over a decade and you were performing 6 nights a week. So talk about how that experience changed your perspective on stamina, discipline, and connecting with your audiences.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, it was, I was really, before moving to Vegas, I had done what they call the Pacific Northwest Fair Circuit, which I was able to tour some of the fairs, and they basically hired me to open for some of the big names they brought in. But I never really felt like I had honed my skills to be able to bond and connect with an audience. When you're singing for 18,000 people, and you're on such a short amount of time, it's all about just getting the music out there, keeping the crowd excited, keeping them, ready for the main artist. And so that, I mean, I don't regret that. It taught me a lot, but going to Vegas and doing a show 6 nights a week in a showroom where the crowds are, about between 5 to 800, but they're right there. They're like right in your face. Really teaches you how to interact with them, how to make the audience feel a part of the show. And also, I think it allowed me to become more expressive vocally, because I could, rather than singing as like a cheerleader and getting everybody excited, I got to tell more stories, and I got to explain who I was or why the songs meant something to me. So that was invaluable to me as a young, performer, getting in there and doing that. And yeah, by the end of the 6th night, your voice is a little tired. It's a little harder to hit the high notes, than the first day. But it taught me pacing. It taught me interaction. It taught me, stage presence and stage direction. And I think the number one thing is it taught me how to put an audience in the palm of my hand and guide them wherever I kind of wanted to. So my set would change occasionally, throughout the week. And I just felt like it got to the point where no matter what I sang, I felt like I had the ability to connect with them and that they would go along with me on the journey. So it was truly highly educational and beyond valuable.
Well, you've headlined festivals all across the country, including Pride events. So talk about how your support for equal rights have shaped your career and how you use your platform.
Wow, that's a great question. Very nice. I don't hide it. I'm gay. I've been with my partner for 28 years. So it's been a long time. But I just, I don't consider myself a gay singer because I don't limit my audience that way. though I'm not ashamed of it, but I am a singer that's gay, and I'm aware of, you know, I'm aware of the situation in this country, that there are so many people that feel lost, unheard, uh, dismissed, and that's just a reality. I wish it wasn't. I write from that perspective. Honestly, there are several songs that I have written that talk about equality for all, and everybody having a level playing field. And I wrote a song that's on my pop album coming out called "Voice of a Brighter Dawn," and it talks about, I want to live in a world where everybody belongs. That's the end. That's the end of the chorus. That's the catch line of the chorus. I want to live in a world where everyone belongs. And it talks about, we can unite. There are differences, obviously, but the differences pale in comparison to how many things we all have that are alike. And, it doesn't matter if you're gay or if you're straight, if you're black or you're white or you're Asian or Native American. If you're a parent, you want the best for your kids. If you're married, you want the best for your spouse. You want to be able to, feel safe in your own house. You want to be able to know that your voice is heard, that you matter, that, you can do unto others as you want them to do unto you, and that it's reciprocated. And so I, I think that facing life, or going through life as a minority, and knowing and having so many friends that are, I see the struggles, and they're all the same pretty much. And that is just that we all want to be treated fairly and equally. And, we don't want limitations put on us because of a title, but we literally, I know it sounds funny to say this, but as Martin Luther King Jr. said, to be judged by your character. And I feel like I write that in a lot of my music, that I don't set out to be, an anthem singer or anything like that. But I write from my heart, and my heart has always been that I feel everybody deserves a fair shot and a chance to succeed on their terms, and to not be judged and discriminated based on things that they can't control. I They should be judged and looked at based on what their talents and their character brings to the table.
Where you have a 4 1/2 octave range, so your voice is truly unique. So how have you managed to maintain and preserve such a powerful instrument, and protect such a powerful instrument over the years?
I don't smoke. So that's a biggie. I um I guess I just take care of my instrument very well. I stay hydrated. I do exercises. I warm up. I'm usually always singing something, or humming something, or just keeping my instrument warm and ready. But there's days when it doesn't work as well as I want it to, and that I can't play with it as much as I would love to, because there's times it's just, fun to go up, into into the stratosphere just to play. But for me, I've always considered whatever I have to be a gift, no matter what it is. So uh I just try to treat it the very best that I can. Like I said, I don't drink and I don't smoke. Um at all. I don't smoke at all. I occasionally have, like whatever wine or whatever, but for the most part, I baby my instrument a lot and try to keep it warmed up and just do the normal maintenance and exercises that you know keep it in good shape.
Well, you've won multiple competition throughout your career, such as Entertainer of the Year multiple times. So, how do you approach winning awards? Is it more like motivation, validation, or just milestones along your journey?
I when I started winning certain awards, it's one thing to go into a competition and because okay, this I'm going to be doing this and I'm going to be competing and I want to do the very best that I can. A lot of the awards that I won, like Entertainer of the Year, I had no clue that it was just something that was, chosen without my awareness. And that meant a lot because it meant that they saw me when I wasn't trying to win something, that I was just being myself. And so that was amazing. I won a Horizon Award for best Las Vegas newcomer, and once again, that was something that they notified me that I had won that I hadn't even knew existed, and that I guess that means a lot to me because, like I said, when you go into a competition you try to bring your best. You want to bring your best song. You want to do your best movements. You want to, really let the passion out or whatever. And so you throw on the competitor, wardrobe to do your best. When you win an award, um, a lot of times it's not based on anything that you did other than bringing yourself and what you do every day to the table. And so winning Entertainer of the Year, I literally won 5 years in a row. And by the fourth one, I knew what was happening and I was kind of aware. And it actually did push me to be a better performer every time I took to the stage because I knew that I had created a history of a certain title, and I wanted to make sure that the people that that had given it to me before weren't going to come back and say, "Oh, that was wow, he totally dropped the ball this year or whatever." So it did force me to be a better performer, but I still didn't know who I was up against or what was happening, literally until they announced that I had won.
Talk about your background in musical theater. Talk about how has that shaped your performance as a musical artist.
I am a musical theater lover. I without getting into too much, I will just say that uh, theater and drama literally saved my life, and I when I use the word literally, I mean that it literally saved my life. And because of that, I really plunged into that entire field, and I loved it because like I said, I've always loved singing, and I had been around that my entire life. But acting was something that I started getting into when I was about uh 11, 10 or 11, and then uh, uh got into it in high school really heavily, and then went to college and got 2 degrees in music theater. And the entire time I was just absolutely loving that feeling of creating a character and bringing these songs to life, and working with other performers. And the cool thing about theater is every night is different. every audience is different, so you never know when a laugh is going to come, or whether a song is going to get a good ovation, or that kind of thing. So it really taught me movement and confidence. And I would say that one thing that I took from a lot of my musical theater experience is that a lot of times I treat all my songs and even my song writing from a theater perspective, if that makes sense. Like, somebody said, you write really strong anthems and ballads, or you look like you're writing for theater or movies. And I think that comes from my musical theater background, where I treat every song as if it's a monologue. And we know monologues in plays and musicals have a purpose. They set a storyline, forward, or they reveal things about the character that people may not know yet. And I think that honestly and truly helped define my writing style as a songwriter. And as a performer, I don't feel inhibited to just, standing at a mic stand with my hands to my side just singing. I I'm a very passionate singer, and so I use my hands, I use my arms. There's a lot of physicality in the way that I sing, and that all comes from my musical theater background.
Let's take a quick break.
Hear honest conversations about anti-Semitism, new generations reshaping their connection to Jewish identity, and first-hand stories of how our community is supporting Israel. Subscribe to Mosaic, Exploring Jewish Issues on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Or watch Mosaic at jewishpb.org.
Well, I know you face various challenges in the musical industry, such as contract disputes. So what advice would you give young artists about resilience in the music industry?
I would say that always be open to suggestions about things that may widen your appeal, but make sure that you know who you are as an artist, and know, because the industry will want to change you. It's one thing to give you suggestions to help you, maybe reach a bigger audience, but don't let anybody get in there and tell you to change who you are, because ultimately you're going to feel completely dissatisfied. Um, I remember the best advice I ever got from someone when I was starting out was, they said, "You look like you're out there to try to make everybody happy, or to please everybody, or have everybody like you, and that's not going to happen. You're not. If there are people that don't like, Celine Dion, or people don't like Aretha Franklin, or people that don't like, Pavarotti or whatever, if there are people that don't like those established artists, you're not going to be any different. So don't worry about trying to please everybody, but be the best version of you that you can be. Go out there and show your brand, and the audience that is supposed to be there will be there for you. And so I think that is a big piece of advice that I would share to people, especially people starting out, is stick to who you want to be, because you know yourself better than anybody else does. Know your brand, know what you want to accomplish, and then find people that will help you hone your craft, but not try to change you into something that you don't want to be, or that you're not.
we'll talk about your upcoming projects that you got coming up. Let the listeners know about that and what they can expect when they hear it and what it inspired it.
Wow. Okay. Well, I do have a holiday album that I dropped at the beginning of November. It's doing really well. I'm really absolutely completely pleased by the response, and I'm thrilled. In 2026, I have two pop albums that I'm dropping. One's called Confessions of a Broken Child. It's a very personal but entertaining, but very personal. It's easy to get to know who I am as an artist and a person by listening to this, but it's also inspirational in the fact that a lot of the songs I wrote for people about things that I said to myself about still, going for it. You can achieve your goal. Stay in there, hang in there, that kind of thing. So that album is is really, really personal, but really good and entertaining. And the second album is called Too Bold to Blend. It's a little bit more pop and not so lyrically centered on myself or what I've been through and that kind of thing, as it is kind of a general uh feel good love songs, that kind of thing. So that I'm excited about. Both albums are really, really good. I have sent them to a couple people in the recording academy and that are in the industry, and they're like, these songs are really, 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 really good. And some of them have even said they want to help sponsor me, to get a Grammy nomination, which I'd obviously be thrilled about. I also, as I said a little bit earlier, I have four songs that are going to be on a movie soundtrack. The movie is called The Colors of the Sun, and it's going to be released in 2026, and the soundtrack comes out at the same time. They're going to take it. They're going to take the movie to festivals around the country, and maybe even a couple other countries. And the really cool thing about that is they can enter their soundtrack to be judged as well. So my songs that I wrote and performed, could be winning some awards at the festivals. Those songs are more anthem like, because the movies is not, I don't want to say it's a heavy drama, but it's a drama. There's a lot of emotion in it, and so I was able to tap into uh you know uh what's the word I'm thinking of. I was able to tap into writing songs about relationships and staying together uh, and strengthening one another through being there for each other. So I'm really thrilled. I I last year I didn't know what I was going to do. When I really started committing to putting out music, I thought I'm just gonna, stick my toe in the water and just see what happens. And instead, I just jumped in and submerged myself. And now I'm seeing so many really exciting things happening to me on the horizon, that had I not just jumped in and said, I'm going to do this, whether I succeed or whether it doesn't work out and I fail, at least I did it. And I think a lot of times when you do that with good intentions and good heart, and really take the time to improve your skills or improve your talents, if you do all that, I think most of the people will say they have benefited from taking that leap of faith.
We'll throw out your contact info so people can keep up with everything that you're up to.
Well, I have a website called www.michaelcagle.online, and that's MichaelCagle online.com. That's my main website, but I am on Facebook, I'm on Spotify, I'm on Instagram, Amazon Music, all that. So there's ways to find out, what I'm up to, where I'm going, where I'm planning on being, and I I guess I can say happily and excitedly, I think this is going to be a really good year for a lot of people, and I think it's going to be a really good year for me. Uh, Finally seeing some things come to fruition that I was absolutely terrified about doing, and I'm glad that I did them.
We'll close us out with some final thoughts. Maybe if there was something I forgot to talk about that you would like to touch on, or any final thoughts you have for the listeners.
Well, no, I mean, I'm just, like I said, this is so exciting to me. I don't take podcasts and radio interviews and TV interviews for granted, or as if I'm special and I deserve them. I really appreciate your listeners sticking with us and hearing my story, and I truly mean this. People like you that give some unknown talent or recognized talent, a platform to share their story and their goals and their visions. And hopefully, the only thing that I can say is hopefully what I've said intrigues someone to say, I want to check this guy out, let me see what he's about. And hopefully, uh that means obviously you've done your job and I've kind of done my job in enticing them, but it'll be up to, which is what I think any artist would say, then it's up to my talents to uh, hook them and bring them on board and to stay with me.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, MichaelCagleOnline.com. Please be sure to check out the website, check out the upcoming albums, and keep up with everything Michael's up to. Share this episode to everybody that you know. And for more information on the Living the Dream with Curveball podcast, please visit www.curveball337.com and share the website and the show to everybody you know. Thank you for listening and supporting the show. And Michael, thank you for all that you do, and thank you for joining me.
And I really thank you. And I sincerely mean that. I truly thank you for not just this interview here, but what you're doing for so many, other artists and people, that have something to say. You're giving them a platform to do that, and I really, really am appreciative.
For more information on the Living the Dream with Curveball podcast, visit www.curveball337.com. Until next time, keep living the dream.